Welcome back, everybody, to part two as we discuss leadership through everyday moments. And, if you haven't checked out the first part, please do because it kind of builds on upon this. And I definitely would like to make sure we keep a good time. So take a look at that if you haven't seen it. Great. Yes, back to leadership through everyday moments. This section, part two, is about transforming your relationship with your service dog or emotional support dog with your best friend through structured leadership techniques, learning to establish clear boundaries and respectful communication using everyday moments as powerful training opportunities. So in chapter two, in part two, we're going to be reviewing then another layer to that, which is about the door, right? Because along with meal times, another everyday moment where we can practice leadership is our door manners with the dog, how the dog handles the door. And so just like part one, where we talked about meal leadership and how that looks like around mealtime, this segment is also based on chapter 9, which is on training your own service dog by Megan Brooks, who has a complete guide to that. So we will just pick up where we left off. Everyday resource control. So back to identifying your resources, and the core theme of a lot of the training that we're going to be discussing and the approach is through positive reinforcement and how part of this gets a lot of strength. Your leadership gains a lot of strength as we, kind of hone on the key principle of that I'm a team leader and all good things come from me. And back to our peace dog training values of, self-control, gentleness, patience, in all these training activities that we're going to do. So back to everyday resource control, we're going to be identifying in the week as you start to implement this. Our suggestion is to start that very first week, implement these ideas. So identifying your resources like play sessions, toys, car rides, couch access, bed access, walks, attention, treats, and door access, right? Everything your dog values should come through you with permission, right? So we want to kind of keep identifying that and identifying where we need to improve and also where the dog needs to improve, of course. So implementing permission before privilege. So what that looks like is, you require a calm sit or a calm down, like down, they're down, and wait before granting access to that desired resource. This helps a lot in breaking jumping behavior because a lot of that is a lot of excitement. And sometimes people, and we'll go into a deeper dive about this later, but yeah, sometimes we inadvertently, um, encourage excited behavior of jumping, of just, kind of like rowdy dog behavior inadvertently. So we're trying to be calm. We're trying to elicit that calm behavior in them, which builds respect and prevents demanding behaviors, such as whining during mealtime or begging during mealtime, um, and other destructive behaviors. And then, of course, now we're going to start to work on mastering the doorway drill. So we're going to have a couple videos on this. But the basics is, we want to kind of use our body to kind of block the doorway because dogs really respond to our body movement and our body language. So we're gonna use our body and then we're gonna open the door and we're gonna wait for calm attention. And then when we see that moment with their calm, we're gonna mark that behavior. So either through a yes or a click, and then we're gonna reward. And then and then we can release with a command. I suggest something like come or follow me through the doorway. Sometimes okay can be a little bit of a mixed signal for dogs. But if it's because we use okay often, so that's why I think come or follow me is a good one when we're doing a doorway drill. I will update these slides later, but anyways, and through practice, through increasing the volume of training, this will help to prevent bolting and establish really good safety protocols. And unfortunately, I did have one experience before I became an experienced dog trainer of a dog. Unfortunately, their name was Lucky. It was not so lucky, and he went from one owner, an elderly couple that just couldn't, my grandparents who couldn't handle his door dashing. They couldn't handle the excitement that he had, so they just gave him up, and I gave him to a friend of mine, and they loved on that dog, but they didn't train the dog. And one day the dog just door dashed and right into the street and just got hit by a car. So, this is one of the more important skills along with leave it, which we're going to do a deeper dive into that in the future. But it's just so important. And it does establish a lot of leadership, especially another key to remember here, especially is when you enter the building or you exit the building first. You're establishing that you are the leader, you go first. So let's take a look at a couple examples here. Victoria Stillwell's example where she approaches to stop a Jack Russell Terrier from door dashing. And you're going to notice in the video, she has a very calm voice, and you'll see the body language in which she's blocking the door. And then also you're going to see how she kind of resets the dog. And in doing that, she's kind of reasserting her boundaries, like where you're not accepting the dog's behavior of keeping pressing forward to the door. She resets the dog so it goes back to that boundary of where she wants it to be, and then rewards, right? So let's take a look at this. Yeah, so the other thing we noticed too about this is, and part of the dog psychology, and that we should devote another video to, but just the dog psychology of like why they're barking at the door, and how it is important that your dog does bark when someone is at the door, um, but to stop, to know how to train them how to stop, because you do want your dog to maintain its canine instinct of guarding you, alerting you. So that's a deeper dive later we'll get into when it comes to barking. So let's look at another example by another trainer I appreciate, Brandon McMillan, and his approach to stopping a door dashing husky. And the huskies are very highly energetic dogs, more so than the terrier, Jack Russell Terrier, although terriers, they are high energy. So these dogs, for major improvement and just the best quality of life, we got to continue to adhere to a lifestyle of exercise, 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 exercise in the morning, exercise them in the evening, and the husky as well, since they are bred as working dogs.
To me. So now it's time to train this. The process is simple, 1 inch at a time. All we're gonna do is open the door 1 inch, and she has to prove that she's not gonna run out. Once she proves that, I'm gonna open 1 more inch, and 1 more inch, and so on and so forth until I can open the door all the way, and she now can prove that she is not a door dasher. So here we go, the process is very simple. Treat bag, I got my bait bag on my side. Now all I'm gonna do, with lunge line still connected to her for safety, all I'm gonna do is open the door.
One thing to also note here is, some people don't like to wear the bait bags. They think it's a little dorky. Other people find it really cool. And as you see with Victoria, she just had some, in her hand. However you want to do it, that's fine. What's nice about the bait bag is that it's a visual and a very strong, like, nose signal, scent signal to the dog that we are doing a training session. I mean business. So that is really good. The other thing I like about this training session, you know, is that he's also using a long lead. And so, if you um are not as confident, or if you live, by a very busy street, you can use the long lead, the long leash to and tether it to something that's hopefully very substantial in your home, just for that added security, and to also show them boundaries, right? So he has it in his hand, but you can tether it and you can have another leash. When they do comply, you can put it on them and lead them out of the house.
1 inch, and then shut it. You see how she tried to go out, and I shut it right before she got there. And once again, I'm going to back her up a little bit because I don't want to slam her little nose in the door. So I'm going to keep her back a touch. And again, 1 inch and shut it. I'm going to do this over and over. 1 inch and shut. Now this process is a little repetitive, but it will pay dividends in the end. 1 inch and shut. And all I'm looking for here is for her to stand there and not go after that little tiny opening in the door. 1 inch and shut. She's starting to slow down now, which is progress. So watch this. 1 inch and shut. Good. I'm going to pay her for that because she stood there and did nothing, which is exactly what I want her to do. So now I'm going to repeat that process. 1 inch. Oh, she's going towards it. It's all right. We will just keep repeating the process. 1 inch. Good. I'm going to praise her and pay her heavily for that. Good girl. And it's just that simple. So once again, 1 inch. Good.
So yeah, here the marker is good. Once they comply, that's the marker. Instead of but if you had a clicker, you could do the clicker. You could do yes. The other thing too, my personal preference is that the dog creates a little bit more space between me and the door, because I have a very narrow entrance way. So that is my personal preference. But this is another way to do it.
Oh yeah, this is easy. Same thing. 1 inch. Good. Now watch this. We've mastered the 1 inch. Let's go 2 inches. Good. Perfect. And we praise and pay her. So once again, 2 inches. She's not trying to squeeze out that little tiny crack. And good. Praise and pay. Good girl. And around we go. And here we go. Now she's got 2 inches. How about 3 inches?
Yeah, that's a good time to
she's starting to
praise them.
understand now. Now she's more controlled. As you can see, she's going to sit, which is a much more controlled
on the floor
animal.
in the sit position.
This is exactly what I'm looking for. And now, 4 inches.
Mark that. Because the dog is being very patient. Yeah.
Good. There we go. Beautiful. And from here, we can start moving pretty fast. And a little more. And there's going to come a point here where she's going to see that she can actually fit her body out the opening. She hasn't seen that yet. So I'm going to keep rewarding her. Good girl. I guarantee any one of these times right now when I start opening it to where her body can fit out, she'll try to run out. And she might test the waters. If she doesn't, even better. Good girl. If she doesn't, that means she is learning at an efficient pace. And this is why I love Huskies, because they are very intelligent dogs. They learn very quickly. So once again, open it. Now she can fit her whole body out there, no problem. Now she's going off pure technique. And she is sitting there like a controlled animal, as she should be. Good. She understands the game now. The less she does, the more she gets paid. So here we go. Now I'm going to open it even more. Full slack leash. You can see if she wants to run out, she can. And if she tries to, I'm just going to simply shut the door before she gets there. And if I can't shut the door before she gets there, I always have my leash as a backup safety. Good. Perfect. Beautiful. And boink. See if she wants to run out. Oh, 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 oh. She thinks she's
That is good too. You notice how he said, oh, um, another part of our vocabulary is that correction word. Some people say uh-oh or oops. Or like him, it was like kind of like a you know. It's not a no, but it's like a correction, a very specific correction command. And this is important because no becomes a very strong command when it's very particular to, you know, that they need to stop something for versus, okay, you need to try again, like that was that was not quite precise or wasn't quite right.
slick. She thought about it for a second. It's okay. As long as she doesn't run out, that's all I care about. And what do you think? You want to run out this time? Mm-hmm. I like how she thought about that last one and then she stops herself.
And now you can see the dog's tail.
Good.
Like, this is a great
Perfect.
game.
Beautiful. And once again, for good measure,
Enjoying
all
yourself.
the way. Take a step back. Giving her every opportunity. And she's not taking the bait. Heavy praise every time she does it well. Good, perfect. And last but not least, one more test. I'm going to open the door, walk outside myself. Now this is where the rubber meets the road because all I gotta do is take a few stomps on the ground, back her up. If she decides to come out, she has to understand.
And this is a great time, when you're doing the door training, is to even add the next layer of that training, which is back, and then you use your body language, your hands and your body to move forward and say back. And then that is a great command for, especially service dogs where, maybe you have limited mobility or small children. It's great for these scenarios at the door. It's great for even situations where the dog is being a little bit of a Velcro dog. Maybe it's scared and it's just kind of like really kind of getting on you. Or even when you're cooking and you're in your kitchen and you're trying to do something and you don't want that dog to be so next to you while you're by the, stove or oven or something like that. So that is another great moment to just kind of layer some training and maximize the whole doorway etiquette.
She cannot come out
Here, he went first. He went first, so he's leading.
of this threshold. So I'm just gonna back off a little bit and I'm just gonna do little ground stomps if she thinks about coming out. And that simply backs them up. There she goes, she sits down. Give her another few seconds here. I'm just gonna stand right here.
Yeah, so great session.
And back up a little more. Again, a little ground stomp. Just back her off. Just a touch.
What's great about some of these dogs is
She might sit. If she does, even better.
They're high energy, but they're also
If
so
she doesn't,
smart
just as well, as long
some
as
of
she's
them
not
have
running
been,
out of this door.
bred to be just so smart.
And once again, I'm just going to back up a little bit and give
Once
her
you deal with the high
15,
energy,
20 seconds here,
get the
whatever you
idea
feel
a
is
really,
necessary. There's no exact time limit.
fun,
I just want to make sure that I have a control going on here. That's all
sort
I'm
of
looking
training
for.
session.
And losing it.
They get into it.
What
They
the
really
heck?
get into
So now
training.
I feel pretty good where we're at with the basic fundamentals of the door dashing. But here's the big question. Everyone's going to ask, oh, what about when my dog has to walk out the front door? What about when I want to take her for a walk? Good question. We have to give her a release command, okay?
Right.
A release command is releasing her from the position she's in. Right now, she understands that she can't go out that front door when it opens. But there are moments where she can go out as long as I command her. I give her the cue. The release command is okay. All I'm going to do is simply say the word okay and walk her past the threshold. But she cannot walk past that threshold until she hears the words okay. So here's how the process is going to work. It's very simple. Same as before, leash in hand for safety. I'm going to open the door all the way. Make sure she is good. I have slacked leash. She can run out if she wants, but she is respecting my commands. So from here, I'm going to simply say, okay, okay. Good, and I'll walk around just like that.
Great session. So those are two different techniques depending on your situation, but they're both very valid techniques. So just wrapping it up, your leadership action plan, right? Key takeaways from part one and part two. We'll revisit this. We did that in part one. But hopefully this training will be something that you can start to implement in 7 days and focus on that for these foundations. And then while you're doing that, you can make a note of other behaviors that you want to just really kind of chip away at from most, aggravating to least aggravating, or dangerous to least dangerous. So yeah, key takeaways, the scheduled feeding, establish your provider role. The wait for permission builds impulse control. Resource control creates respectful partnership. Consistency in small moments creates big changes. So the 7-day homework challenge would be implement structures at mealtime, require sit and wait before meal for 7 consecutive days. You getting into the habit, them getting into the habit. Provide doorway exercise daily. Use every door as a training opportunity, right? So that would also mean too, like preparing yourself a little bit. If you're going to go out with your dog, give yourself that extra, 15 minutes to do a little training session. It might be less than that. It could be 5 minutes. I don't know. But, you know, prepare yourself, and your timing, right? As well as when you enter into the building, right? Um, and then, of course, journal your observations. Track changes with your dog's respect, calmness, responsiveness, any body language, right? You can put in there. Um, so and just stay encouraged if it's not happening out in the beginning, if it's slower in the beginning, just stay encouraged and remember that leadership through structure creates a calmer, more confident working partnership, more peace in that relationship, ease of communication between you and the dog, and your consistency today builds tomorrow's success. So that is part two for this segment of your leadership for I just forgot what it was called. Leadership through everyday moments. There we go. Um, at the moment, since we're running out of time, I will not take extra questions, but drop your questions in the chat. Drop them in the chat, and we'll start to review them and see what other kinds of videos that we need to do first, or other feedback or tips that you're seeking, and how you want to stay accountable too. We got to stay accountable and implement these things daily. So thank you for joining us, and carry on.